Today, I want to share with you a story from a client around them developing self-confidence and finding their voice within their family dynamic. And so as we were working together and cultivating their emotional intelligence, right, starting to develop their awareness of their feelings, their needs, and how to really express that with like conciseness and clarity, they had this passion of bringing in these skill sets and these practices into their family meeting, so to speak. And so one of their home discoveries, I call them home discovery processes, was to take this practice of deep listening within their family meetings. And so to them, when they came back and talked about, the outcome of that, their initial reaction or response was, well, I brought this forward and, there was a failed outcome. Like I didn't get what the intention was or what the expectation was. So my encouragement was, can we unpack this? Like that was my question to them. Can we unpack this and dive deeper into that? So that's what we did. And that's the story I want to share with you here today. Because how easy is it when you have an idea, you really have a desire and a passion, you have an idea, meaning you've also attached an expectation onto the outcome that you wanted, that then all you have is this one pointed focus on that outcome. And if you don't get that particular outcome, you see it as a failure. So if that is true for you, I just really want you to pay attention and listen into more of the story. So as we began to talk, I asked questions. Some of those questions are, what was their response? And their response was they became a bit triggered. They became more aware of some of their own emotional boundaries, and they became more aware, I want to say, of like what their no's were. So they were really firmly pressing a no, I don't want to do this. And then the byproduct of that is they ended up coming to this client for solo conversations, right? So they felt safer because now they were going to him to have these conversations, even though they were a no to having these conversations in a group dynamic. So I'm going to try to break this down for you a little bit differently. So imagine that you're having these weekly conversations with your children, with your ex-partner, with your family, whatever dynamic that is. And you're wanting to apply these principles around emotional intelligence or deep listening and communication exercises to the group dynamic. And you bring it to this group dynamic, you bring it to your family, and they give it a shot. And then all of a sudden resistance starts to come to the surface. And then you start to trip up some emotional reactions, right? Some agitation. And then what comes to the surface is no, I don't want to do this. So within that alone, if you're still with me and you're going to unpack this with me, is I heard and witnessed within that conversation, wow, some emotional stuff that was being hidden inside came to the surface. Brilliant. Because that was inside. Now it's on the surface to be worked with, even if it's just for the individual to work with and not bring to the group dynamic. The next part of that is possibly boundaries were set, even though it might have felt strongly set. Often that happens if you're new to setting boundaries. But I'm also noticing boundaries were set. No, I don't want to do this. So a boundary for me sets a perimeter of where we can engage in our relationship. So that is a plus, because now there's more knowing. There's actually more connection, even if on the surface it doesn't feel like connection. And then aside from that group dynamic that stopped happening in the way that they wanted it to, now these family members, these individuals are calling, I'll call them meetings or talks with my client, with the individual, to have these conversations one-on-one. So again, another brilliant outcome, because what is there is they might not be ready or feel safe to have it in that group dynamic conversation, which they set the clear boundary, no, but they didn't shut down, because what they do feel safe, and they feel safe coming to this gentleman, they feel safe going to him as the family member to connect. And now in that connection, because there's trust there. And now without forcing anything, right? Without the expectation, you can leave the agenda aside, but now there's openness for new possibilities. And so today, when it comes to you setting your goals around your family dynamics and your conversations, I encourage you to leave the agenda aside to look at maybe outside the direct focus. Let go of that one point of focus, I have to have it this way, and ask, well, how is this working for me? Because often when you just ask that question, you've just widened your perspective and you're more available to see what I just talked you through have happened to my client and their outcome through our work together. So if you'd like to drop into our community and to receive some one-on-one support, or to come be a part of our live weekly trainings, actually 3 times a week, love to invite you over to the Intimacy Hub over on Facebook, and I look forward to chatting with you soon.